All right, without further ado, welcome everyone to Indian Occupational Therapist Think Tank Saturday Night Chat. We started this initiative back in 2021, and we are in our 18th Saturday Night Chat. We do this typically once every quarter. The purpose of this initiative, or the basic premise behind this initiative, is everything starts with a discussion. So every time we have a topic for discussion, and we facilitate a conversation on that. Um, we have several interested topics that we have discussed so far, and you can find the recordings of all our previous 17 Saturday night chats on our YouTube channel, so that we can continue the conversation and deliberation there. Today is our first one for the year 2026, so we are so excited here, and thanks for all of you who joined. And we anticipate more people to join. And another exciting news here today is the first time we are trying to kind of try this approach of sharing some data, and then facilitate discussion on that. Because when we facilitated a topic, of course, everybody has some perspectives. But if we have some real life data to ponder upon, that would make the discussion more rich and insightful. So hopefully we want to do this type of Saturday night chat. If we get enough cooperation from the Indian OT community, in response, by responding to our surveys, we could run different surveys before every Saturday night chat, gather some data, and then present that data to the audience during the Saturday night chat, and then deliberate on this. We, as part of our World OT Day 2025 initiatives, we did several. We did a panel discussion, we did a webinar, we did a discussion with an expert, and so on. And one other initiative we did was basically to conduct a workforce survey. As you may know, workforce data is very critical to benchmarking the growth of the profession, and also very useful for advocacy purposes. If you're a practice owner, a clinic owner, then you can use that to determine how much to pay for entry level therapist, or an experienced therapist. Similarly, if you're an employee, you can advocate for yourself in terms of pay rise, or just to ensure that you are also being competitively paid. And also, for many other reasons, workforce data is very, very critical for a growth of any profession. I think, if I'm correct, the last workforce data was conducted in 2018. It's been a while. Probably going forward, we should be doing that in every couple of years, I guess. But now that there is a big gap, we wanted to take that initiative and conduct a workforce survey. So we launched the survey on November 26th, and then collected the data for about a month. And then now we are going to present the data here, as well as we already prepared an executive report that is under review by the IOTTT board now. Once the board reviews, we will be publishing that on our website for all stakeholders to use. It will be a public document. I recommend that all of you review that and use that in whatever way kind of that helps your career, as well as to help our profession. So please make use of that. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so that we can look at some of our findings. Let me know when you all can see my screen. Give me a thumbs up, Nidhi, if you can. Yeah, perfect. So the first thing I want to, again, this is just about IOTTT, which you all know. We started as a scholarly interested entity back in 2019, and we became a registered nonprofit in 2022. So about this workforce study, as I just mentioned, it's one of our initiatives on behalf of World OT Day 2025, and we collected data for a month. Before we get into the findings, the key disclaimer that I want to provide here is it's very, very difficult to generalize this data across the nation because of the low number of responses. Despite our multiple reminders and efforts, we did reached out to a good chunk of people through social media and emails. Despite reminders, we managed to only get 94 valid responses, which means there may be some more responses that we deleted from the analysis because they were incomplete or something like that. or like they are not eligible to take the survey, but they took, like for instance, they are working in a foreign country, but taking a survey. So we deleted those things from our analysis, so that ended up with only 94 valid responses, which is very, very low, as you all may realize. So obviously, this is what this study's findings are. We cannot like, do anything about it. But at the same time, when you generalize this data, be very, very mindful of the limited number of responses that we got. So that's a disclaimer I want to provide before we start looking into the data. So the respondent demographics, we had about 60% of female therapists and 40% of the male therapists responded to the survey. And you could see that the age range on the table that I provided, which is like, you could see that like a good chunk, almost 56% of our respondents, all these are percentage values, by the way. So like almost 56 to 57% are less than 35 years, which shows that our workforce is pretty young, which is a good sign, because we have, with more and more new colleges, we are going to have a lot more young-aged, energetic occupational therapists in India, which is going to really help with the long-term sustainability of the profession, and as well as contributes towards growth. So that's an exciting thing. And we could really like see that we have like 3% of the respondents in the retiring age. And also, if we look at the urban, suburban, and rural distribution, that's one of the findings that we will be deliberating down. I have some questions for that to facilitate a conversation here. You could really see that almost 78% of our therapists are in the urban areas, like major cities and pretty populated cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, and so on. And suburban areas are another 20%, which are like little outskirts of the city. But the rural areas is where only 2% of the therapists reside, which is very similar to our previous workforce studies findings as well. I did extrapolate the data with the 2018 study, in which we had about 191 responses. So we had like almost double the responses in that study, the previous one. But again, some of the data are still very parallel, but the rural workforce has even shrunk compared to the last study. So that's a notable point there. And if you really look at the demography of the respondents, like where they practice, or you could really see that, I just kind of color coded the way that if you really see the green, like in the green shade, that's where those are the states we got more responses from. So pretty much Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. That seems to be the OT corridor of India. In our repeated studies in 2015, 2018, and as well as this, these are the three states with a notable number of OT. So this continues to be the OT corridor. And then the states with the blue color are the other states that responded to the survey. So we had at least three or two or one responses from each of these states highlighted in blue, and then Delhi with some like here Delhi is with some 3 to 4 responses, which is unusual. We used to get more responses from that region, but the states that are highlighted in this color, like a sort of a light brown, are the ones that we do not have any responses from, all the northeastern states, and some of these states in Jammu Kashmir and so on. So, and also like some of these union territories like Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep and all, we didn't have any responses from. Again, it may be our difficulty to reach out to the therapists working in that area, or we can assume that there are not many therapists working in that area. But like even in the last study, there were like 13 states and 4 union territories that we haven't received responses from. So again, I could see the pattern like between 2018 and now, that there is a part of India that we don't receive responses from, which makes me believe that there may be very few therapists in those regions. So that's another notable finding, that we are not equally distributed across the nation, so that might limit access to OT services in several parts of India. In terms of full-time versus part-time, almost 95% of our therapists are working full-time, and then like only 5% reported working in a part-time capacity. Again, which is, I could see a growth in the percentage of therapists working full-time compared to the 2018 findings. We had like more respondents reporting working as a part-time OT back in 2018. So now that maybe the workforce demands have increased, so a lot of therapists are now able to find full-time opportunities, which is a good thing. And also the years of experience. Again, we have like a good distribution here. Again, a lot of new entry-level therapists with less than 1 to 5 years of like between the range of 1 to 5 years of experience. That's almost 40% of the respondents, 42.5%. And thank you to them. They it looks like they care about the profession by responding to the survey. So kudos to them, the young therapist who responded to the survey, and also like kudos to the ones that are like in my category of 20 plus years of experience. That is 20% of the responses. But in between, again, I'm not surprised by this data because there was like a depreciation in the number of OTs, right? Because after this, the cohorts that we were in, there was a decline in the rate of admissions, and several schools closed, and some of them reopened. And then, there was a dip in the number of OTs graduated in the middle. So I'm not surprised by the decline in the percentage of those with the 10 to 15 years range or the 15 to 20 years range. That's because of that dip in the OT schools or the OT admissions in the in between time period. So that this data kind of shows that pattern and trend. In terms of practice settings, you could really see that, with the growth in academia, number of OT schools and all, like 21% said that they work in either academic setting or hospitals affiliated to those academic settings. And then 25% work in hospitals and 5.3% in non-governmental organizations that are, related to people with disabilities, and schools and special schools, 8.5%. Outpatient OT settings is 39.4. Compared to the previous 2018 data, I could see that the outpatient settings is on the rise. It was like it was the topmost setting back in 2018 as well, but the percentage has grown quite a bit. The two areas where I see a dip is non-governmental organizations and special schools and schools. Like, we used to have many OTs working in those areas, but now it's kind of like declined. Maybe OTs are able to find better opportunities in other settings, or maybe other stakeholders took away our opportunities in these settings. We need to examine and explore. So, probably like one of the questions for discussion is like why there's a dip in school-based practice settings, which was found to be one of the top three practice settings back in 2018, but now only like 8% of the respondents say that they work in school-based practice. And in terms of the one great progress that we made in the past 7, 8 years is that there is a good chunk of us have a master's degree now. Like almost more than half of the respondents have a master's degree in OT now. Kudos to all the OT programs that are offering master's degree. Because of the accessibility now, more and more OTs went on to get their master's degree, I guess. 31.9% of the respondents only have a bachelor's degree, and almost 15% have doctoral degrees in OT, which is also a notable growth. And kudos to those schools offering doctoral level degrees in occupational therapy. So all these things are really helping the profession in a upward trajectory, growth trajectory, which is a good sign. In terms of practice area, almost 63% of our therapists are still working in pediatrics, which was a decline from 70% in last survey. So apparently the other practice areas have catched up quite a bit. And I think neurology is the one that kind of caught up quite a bit. Like it was 13% back in 2018, but now we could see almost 19% of the therapists are working in neuro. So the neuro practice area has grown. The pediatrics has come down relatively, but still continues to be the dominant practice area in India. And then all the other areas, you could really see the mental health, orthopedics, and all. There is a good number of therapists are working in there, but still, like, not a well-known practice area compared to pediatrics and neurology. Geriatrics and oncology, just like 2 or 1%. There may be more, but probably like it's a service limitation to reach them, or there may be only few therapists working in those areas. So I would like to learn that from you all, like the therapists working in India, to tell me whether the data reflects the real life scenario or it's a service limitation. 4% said they're working in a mix of areas, like, they're working in a pediatric as well as in an adult setting, it's sort of a mix. So 4% reported that way. So some of them still reported pediatrics. They also have one of the areas that they work in is still pediatrics. Remuneration type, 73 percentage, I would say, are salaried, and then another 25 to 26 percentage are receiving payment on a per client basis, because like number of clients they treat, they will get paid. Those are the two payment models, it seems, right now. But a lot of these Western countries do hourly basis, like, this is your hourly rate and all, but that's like only one respondent reported that way. So it looks like, that is not a payment model that's being adapted in India. Again, the local demographics and so many other variables change, and also how other industries pay their therapist and all. So if organization is paying all their healthcare professionals on a salaried basis, they are going to follow the same for OT. So I mean, just a good data point to be aware of. So here's the main information that you all probably like looking to, wanting to know. So according to our survey, the mean salary, the average salary per month, monthly salary, this is all monthly salary, is 66,731 Indian rupees, with a median of 50,000 INR. And again, this, even though I said 94 respondents, there were some extraneous values. Like there was a therapist who reported like more than 4 lakh per month. But if I really include that in the analysis, that's going to sway the average one way or the other. So just to avoid the skewness of the data, we removed the lowest and the top three, values from the survey. That way we can just kind of like trying to be realistic. And also, like, some respondents, despite completing the entire survey, didn't identify their salary in this question. They just put like they don't want to report or whatever it is, like, they just kind of put some text in that field rather than providing us the number. So there were 4 respondents who didn't provide the data, so that shrinks the data to 90. And then, like, we removed the extraneous values on either in the lowest as well as the highest value. So that way we only used 84 responses to calculate this mean and median, and that's what you're seeing now. We also extrapolated the data in terms of, okay, whether the level of education influences the average salary. And you could really see in the tables, like, obviously there is a upward trajectory. So those with bachelor's, especially, when they enter into the field, their average salary is about 42,000. And then if they have a master's degree, their average salary is about close to 65K. And if they have a doctoral degree, that's kind of exceeding 120,000, Indian rupees. And you can also see the number of responses that we have, to support these data. So these averages are not like, with very minimal. And also in terms of the region wise, like, whether the salary differs by region. Of course, yes, Maharashtra tops the list. Therapists in Maharashtra are making, on an average, again, these are all average, so you could really see some may be making a little less and some may be making more, but this is the average, which is like 88,639 INR. And in because of very few responses from other parts other than these three states, where, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu, we have at least some notable number of responses, but all the other states we have very few responses. So we aggregated all the thing as rest of India. So all the other states and union territories, on an average, the salary is about 64,000 INR month. And I would say, like, like people in Haryana and all, like, they reported almost closer to 80,000 a month and all. So yeah, there's a little bit of variability, but on an average, the rest of India. Then comes Tamil Nadu with about 55,285 INR per month as the average salary, followed by Karnataka. Again, if I were to include those extraneous values, Karnataka would be the top. So some therapists, in the Karnataka region reported very high monthly income, but like those, a couple of them were removed because they were in the extreme values at the top, like, close to 4 lakhs or 4.5 lakhs. So if I were to include that, then Karnataka would be the top. But because of the removal of the extraneous value, Karnataka is like somewhere closing in around 50,000, which is like the typical overall average as well. So continuing along, we also looked at the female versus male, like whether to see gender influences. It's surprising in a positive way. It's happy as well. Like, of course, OT is always a female-dominated profession. Even back 20 plus years ago, when I was sitting in the OT classroom, there were a lot more girls than boys, in my classroom. But like, in the last survey, we noticed only like, 51% female and 49% men, which is like women were still outnumbering men, but by very tiny percentage. But this time the difference has grown quite a bit. So it looks like the India is also following the pattern that of the rest of the world, that OT continues to be a female dominated profession. And another glad finding is that, in the last survey, when we looked at the gender analysis, the men were making more than women, but now the scenario has changed a little bit because of the growth and also more and more women in the workforce, and for various reasons, I believe. Women are making on an average 73,000 165 NR compared to men who are making about 57 K per month. Again, these are all these are subjective in the sense, like, we have this big disclaimer that we have very less number of responses, and you could really see based on how the mean was calculated based on the number of responses as well. Um, and also we did a statistical analysis to see whether this is significantly different, and yes, it was significant. The statistical significance was there. So which is the surprising and as well as an interesting finding in a way of this survey. Region wise, we could really like see that obviously, as expected, urban therapists in the urban regions are making more. So their average is around 70,000. In suburban areas, about 54K, and then in rural region, only one responder, like fall within this 84 category, and then that person reported 50,000 INR as the salary. We also looked into how the years of experience increase the salary, or whether it has a factor influences the salary. Yes, you could really see an upward trend there. So those who are making, like, those who are entry level, just graduated in the workforce entering, their average is around 43K. And then once they are more than 3 years, old, and in the sense in terms of experience, they have about 51K as their average. And when they exceed that 5 years of experience, they are making another 9K, 8K more. And then, as the experience grows, you could really see. And then people who are 20 plus years, they are definitely reporting a six-figure salary. And that's a trend of the survey. Anyone who said they have more than 20 years, they are able to report a six-figure salary. So that shows that as the years of experience grows, OTs are able to make more income. And we also looked into the sector-wise salary, which is, again, another interesting finding of this survey is that we usually the for-profit sector pays more compared to other sectors. But if you really look at these averages, they're very close to each other. Both government, nonprofit, and for-profit sectors, they're all around that 66 to 67K, which is a surprising finding. But I'm glad that probably government and the nonprofit sector has caught up with the demand for OTs. I guess that's why government is able to pay now, only able to match the other sectors in terms of the average pay. And then in terms of practice area, there's a lot of variability. But again, like you could really see the orthopedics, the people in the orthopedic practice area reported high average there, but there's only 4 responses. So I'm like little hesitant to really like say that orthopedics is the most fruitful area for OTs now because of the low number of responses, and that applies to all other areas other than neurology and pediatrics. So let's look at neurology and pediatrics. If you compare those two those two practice areas, pediatrics obviously pays a little bit better than neurology, but again, not very far. There is about like 6,000 gap in that monthly payment. At the same time, if you are working in a neuro setup in a big hospital system and you have other bonus or anything like that, that's going to make up that gap. So, on an average, I would say like pediatrics still appear to be slightly having a leading edge there, but neurology is pretty close as well in terms of practice area. All right, so those are the findings pretty much that we want to report to you all. And then now I really want to use the rest of the 30 minutes or so we have because we started like almost 10 minutes late. I would like to take the liberty of taking, until like another 30 or 35 minutes. And I really want all of you to contribute to this discussion. So first, the first question I have several questions here that I'll put this slide on. But like I really want the first question I have for all of you is what you see on this previous slides in terms of the data and the average salaries that our study, the survey found. Um, do you do you think it's kind of reflecting the real life workforce, or it's a bit off than what you perceive to be what's happening in the real life OT practice in India? Anyone? Please have the conversation get started. I really want each of you to have a say, have your thoughts contributed here. Pooja, you want to go? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to take a go. So, considering the past 15 years of, trend that I've observed in terms of workforce, and due to one of my study that I had done 3 years back, similarly on the workforce, OT workforce, and preferences and practices. So when you observe, so when we started OT college, like 15 years back, the entire 40 student batch was filled with only and only females, or uh, and as we went on the years, like 8 years that I spent in the academic area, gradually, currently, it's like 8 to 10 boys in the batch of 40.
Okay.
So the trend is showing an increase in presence of male workforce. So, and this is similar. So, in my study, we had shown 85% of female workforce. Yeah. So, so your study shows a greater number of male workforce. So, which is a better trend because yours is a recent one. Mine was nearly 5 years back study. So, definitely there is a trend and increase in male workforce all over the world.
Got it. Yeah. But like if you look at the international data as well, some of the Western countries report 90 to 91% female.
Yeah.
And then like 9% men. So it's always.
But
it's
however,
right from the beginning.
However, that study should be 5 years old because I've cited that study. The one that you are saying about 90% female workforce, because I had cited that study.
Cited that.
In my paper. I have cited your study also in that paper because yours was before that. So, and I was in kind of nearby. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you for sharing the thought. So again, my question to other people that are working in India, like, what do you see in terms of the overall data that have been presented so far? What's your first take on that data? Like, do you agree with it? Do you think it's reflecting the real practice in India according to your perception? And then like, or is it a little different than what you anticipated? Or let me put it this way, is anything that we shared in the previous slide surprised you?
The thing that surprised me the most was that orthopedic practice is showing a higher salary, which, however, in my experience from my friends who are working in ortho, per session payment or the charges that you have over here, at least in Mumbai, I don't know about the other states or other regions, is lesser than the ones in, because of the competition between the OT and PT in the orthopedic setup. However, in pediatrics, the charges per session are anyways higher because of the dominance of OT in the pediatric setup. So because of that, demand and supply, and to maintain that balance, their charges per session are lesser. So it is surprising that even if they practice for like 10 hours a day, that they would surpass pediatric practice. So that was surprising for me. However,
Got it.
those
Thank you
four
for
people
sharing that.
are
Yeah,
really
that's
a
maybe they are
good
well
workforce,
experienced or
well
they are working
experienced,
in a
and
setting. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So many
at
factors.
a
So we
higher
cannot
post,
go with
maybe
that
in
average.
the maybe in the hospital setting, or maybe at a post where they must be getting a higher salary, or maybe even
Probably.
they are doctoral with some research which gets
Research, experience.
added.
True.
Yes. So I was very happy to know that
Mhm.
that can
But
also happen.
yes, and like one thing I want to ask you is because you're from Maharashtra, like what do you think of the Maharashtra average salary that we found? Like, was it like somewhat comparable to what therapists are making?
I guess they're making more, but since you have taken out the average, since there would be a few beginners. See, over here, from my understanding, the salary that you earn at the beginning and the salary that you earn after 5 years, there's a huge gap.
Okay.
So since you have averaged it out, it should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, even in
But
our study, like we said that, the people with less than 3 years experience or average is 42, and then like after 5 years, it's 59. That is a notable difference as well, right?
yeah, but
So
I guess there is that's much more because after 5 years,
much
it's
more
like
than that. Okay, got
ha
it.
ha. Uh,
Okay.
and by the time you are like 10 years of experience, or maybe see, my experience is more from either private practice or from the academia, my medical college. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't know about the hospitals, or I don't know about the non-profit areas or NGOs. I know a bit about schools, but normal schools, not special schools.
Got it.
So I'm talking from that perspective. However, since you had a data which included special schools, which included NGOs, so maybe that also added a factor where that averaged out, or the
Got it.
gap is showing lesser. But
Great.
I'm very happy with the data.
Okay, great. And
I'm very
let's
happy with the progress OT is making.
great. Yeah, I'm glad to. I'm
Yeah.
glad to see that. Definitely the profession is overall in a growth trajectory, which is very, very fulfilling and rewarding.
And
Let's
as
invite
regards the
yeah,
only
go ahead, go ahead.
as regards the gender preference,
Uh-huh.
so I would be saying that why now there is an increase in the male workforce is also because of the awareness
Yeah,
about the medical stature or the respect that now as an OT you get it. See, when we started,
true.
it was OTPT. I mean, most of you must be aware of that OTPT. I mean, there was nothing about OT per se. I mean, one sentence in the medical textbook. Now it is very specific that this goes to OT. This is for physios. And people are aware. We have direct walk-ins also. We get patients without reference also. So now because of all that, and because of the increase in, maybe that's also one of the reasons why the male uh, workforce is increasing or is interested in taking this field after 12th. Otherwise, yeah, so that's my
Got it.
take.
Got it. Got it. All right, let's invite Murli into the conversation. Like, being a practice owner, definitely a lot of people are working for you and you have a good diverse experience in multiple areas. So what are your take on this data?
Uh, Hi, Karthik. Sorry for joining late from my end. I got caught in a place where, surprisingly, only for me, there was no network. So I came home and connected. But yes, first thing is the gender ratio. Probably the people in Maharashtra will still remember that when we were in Nair doing PG, we were called the first all-male batch, all-boys batch
Wow.
in the history of Maharashtra. Imagine how many people we were. We were only 3 boys.
Wow.
So that's how it is, and it's always like 1 or 2 boys in the whole batch. But comparatively, when we do UG in even now in Tamil Nadu or so, there is pretty much 40-60% of boys in the thing. But recently, when I was in IOTA conference, there was this one boy from the whole of 20 girls batch came like, yeah, sir, how do I survive this 4.5 years course? Because I'm the only one. I said, now you either you feel lucky or you feel like you're cursed. That's the only thing you can think of, because 4.5 years you have to survive in that 19 girls versus 1 boy ratio. But that's up to you. But I think it differs from region to region, the ratio of boys girls in the profession. Because when I went, same time there were literally no boys in a whole batch of UG a couple of years, third year and fourth year in my when I was doing PG in Nair. But here in South, it's like at least 40% will be boys. One more ratio difference, what I feel is, at least from my experience here in South, in Chennai or Tamil Nadu, for that matter, how many ever boys who study, 90% of them are practicing. And how many girls whoever are studying, I believe only less than 50% are practicing. But that's a different story when it comes to a mid of the India or the north of the India. A little different story, I think. So that also influences in the gender ratio in our profession, of course. But eventually, on the whole, it is definitely yes, women are more in the numbers, and sometimes we also felt the profession itself is for women. They would say like, no, boys are not for OT field and stuff. We have gender bias against the men.
Yes,
I faced it in my workplace also. They would not give me a under 1 year child for me to treat. They would all give me all, children who are older or heavy children to me, considering, oh, you are a man, so you should treat all this. And I would beg to give me a child who is just born and stuff. And at the end of the year, they let me treat a child who was 2 months old. I had to fight for it in the place. But yeah, it's a good workplace. The other one, what I wanted to discuss is in the salary level. I don't know. Somehow I feel the salary may be a little different, or somewhere the people who are responded are in a different state. That's not depicting in some level. Either it's the average. So what they have registered is on the higher end, but the people who are just freshers or just people might have not given the right kind of detail, is what I feel pertaining to Tamil Nadu. Because here the salary starts with 35,000 for the beginner. At the same time, what happens, like the trend now is no youngster is working in one place. They are working in 2 different clinics. Half a day in one place, half a day in different place. And that's why the work hours are different. 10 hours and 12 hours, because they are working 6 hours in one clinic, 6 hours in another clinic, or 5 hours in one clinic, 5 hours in other clinic. And then the aggregate goes a little higher. So there might be a little different. And I also want to, check with you how many people who own the centers have filled this form, because how did they come up with their salary thing? And they will be paying for somebody. Obviously, their salary will be much bigger, and then paying somebody else is going to be a little less. I won't be paying, for a beginner 60 or 50 for that matter to start with. Maybe once I get a confidence that they are good with me in the clinic and I can give my clients to them with much belief, probably yes. So this is something a little different for me. We really need to check on these areas are reflecting here in the statistics. Maybe yes. But on the whole, the ratio of neuro and OT, I'm personally, I'm so happy to see there is a rise in the people who are practicing neuro rehab. I'm literally glad because I'm going overboard with my neuro clients. I have more neuro clients now where I am not able to see them. That much of neuro clients I have. So I welcome people. I just gave a call to a couple of my students and told them, like, I have neuro clients. You want to come do home visit? I'll pay you handsomely. So
great.
that's how it is going.
In fact, one of the recommendations we are making in our executive summary report we are going to publish soon on our website is that exactly that, those who are working in other areas, please mentor the young budding therapists so that they know that there are opportunities in other practice areas. Again, I'm not against pediatrics, but at the same time, I really think that there is a lot more people that we can serve. And also with the growing workforce, like growing number of OT colleges, growing number of OTs coming out of the colleges now, we need to create more opportunities, which means we need to diversify the practice area. So that's one of the recommendations we are making.
See, when it comes to diversifying, I really feel bad for the youngsters who are graduating. Some of the colleges have best infrastructure when it comes to learning practically handling cases. Some of the cases, they don't even have an OPD running. So there is literally no single case. So those children coming out and practicing is going to be a little tough for them. Getting the confidence or getting an approval of a clinic head that, oh yeah, you're seeing the good client, your therapy skill is good, your hand skill is good, then I can give you. And imagine somebody coming with the experience of already handled the client in their OPD and then coming to our clinic. We'll be like, okay, now I can see you have skill with your hand, so I can give you the separate client instead of me supervising everything. So that will differentiate the amount I'm going to pay for them also. I will not be paying equal amount to everybody because this is definitely a skill-based profession. If I believe somebody can hold on to the skill level, definitely yes. So this is something the colleges need to take, and which areas we are going is very important. Now, for example, I've received a call for ergonomic assessment in a single day. I have received a call for psychiatric case management in a single day and a neurological case, as well as a pediatric case. So in a single day, I receive 4 different areas for assessment and therapy in my center. If that is the case, I believe everybody else will also be receiving the same. True. But do we have the youngsters coming out with that same kind of interest and experience in that thing? Now, I'm ready to take somebody to my ergonomic assessment, which is I fixed it for 27th. So if somebody is coming, I will take them for it. So I will train them for it. But I want them to get immersed in it. As you said, pediatrics is not the only thing. It is breadwinning as of now. But for me, I would say it is 50-50. My neuro is as equal as my pediatrics now.
Pediatric practice. True. Yeah. So let's kind of continue to mentor the new budding therapists in that area. I want to hear from others. Like I saw Charan Madevi, I saw Naveen Kumar, Tamarai, Godanan sir, and all. Please chime in with your thoughts. There are some leading questions here. Again, we may not have enough time to go through each questions, but whatever the question kind of resonates with you, you can take on that on this slide. And we also have a couple of more questions in the other slide. And again, this recording will be available for you to take a look at these questions in more detail later on. But if someone wants to take more OTs, have a master's degree in India. So this is because of the availability and affordability. And also we saw that master's degree is paying them more. It's a good thing, but I really want to know what motivates our therapists to go for masters is the question. Godanan sir, go ahead.
Thanks, Karthik, for doing this for us. It's exciting. I'm glad to hear the parity between the government sector and non-government sector. It's actually surprised to hear it's closing in the gap. In my view, the government sector is a secure, but in the non-governmental would be kind of more opportunity. You'll have more the restriction will be less. And again, highlighting the orthopedics area, you have the kind of established profession competing with our kind of new profession. So if you're in a private practice or in a non-governmental area, So you have that independence, and also kind of you can grow your skills, and you can fully express your kind of competency. Whereas in the government here, so that's I'm glad to hear that the gap is closing.
Thank
That's
you.
kind of
Yeah,
reinforcing and reaffirming. Thank you.
great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Tamray.
Um, Good evening, sir. I'm glad to talk to my immediate senior after a long time, Karthik sir. So I read the first question. So I feel still now the gender ratio is still continuing. Whenever I am receiving the mails or whatever job opportunities, they are mentioning females are preferred. Females are preferred. It's still going on.
Okay.
So that is the one thing. And I am currently working in mental health in CMC. So there we started in 2024. PG started. There are also majority of girls only. Okay, so that then gender differentiation is keep on continuing. One thing, and yeah. So one more thing. While we are talking about why they prefer to do PG and all, they wanted to get settled in a particular time limit duration. Yeah, practice. Either they want to practice or getting employed and all. They have a clear plan about going abroad. Maybe one of the reason could be the salary things and all. Okay, so that may be one of the reasons. And the NGOs and special schools also, the pay is very less, obviously, because I was also working in Chennai in a special school, and like that time that was little low only. Again now was yeah. It's being continued, I think. So that is one of the reasons for the like going abroad and by doing PGs and all that, one of the reasons. And many people, many of you talking about neuro, ortho, and pediatrics and all. And I'm glad to talk about mental health. So I started my clinic in pediatrics only in Chennai. So after 5 years of experience, maybe after marriage, I came here. So here also I started the clinic. But once I entered CMC, I got in a psychiatry setup. So even now, I like many of the OTs feel that mental health is not good for OTs also. Like they feel that they also getting affected by all the illness and all. There will be counter transference. All those things are being continued.
Got it.
So that and I think we need more awareness in mental health also. So it's there. If it's there in future, that will be very nice. And that is my opinion. Thank you for giving me opportunity.
Great. Thanks for joining and contributing your thoughts. And I'm always. Yeah, go ahead, Murali.
Dr. Tamare, thank you so much, because this psychiatric thing, when I get a call from Shriram or Anbu sir, it's like, Murli, I have very less people who see psychiatry. So do you, the first thing is like, when I got a call today also, like, Murli, do you see a 25-year-old psychiatric patient? That's the first thing they ask. I'm like, see, whatever the age is, you send me. I'll take care of it. What's your concern? You let me know. I'll handle it. And they are from Adambakam. Adambakam to Anna Nagar is like, 1 hour distance of travel.
I'm from Chennai, basically, yeah.
Yes. So it's like, it's nice to know people are working, and I'll also put up the detail to Anbu sir and Shriram, the people who are in the mental health fraternity for us. Again, I think we all got conveniently comfortable seeing only pediatric clients. So where we are, people come, we don't want to think much. When I say convenience, probably this is like, me running a center which is coming out and kind of complaining. The youngsters whom I have interviewed and who started working for me, in some of them what they have given is, sir, it's too difficult to work with an adult. So I have to bend, I have to because obviously neuro clients and stuff, so you have to be physically working with them to get things done. In the pediatrics, they prefer sitting down and working. Where I said like pediatrics is more tougher than handling an adult. because you have to all the time jump around, run around, roll around. It's like that's how we keep ourselves fit.
Yeah.
It differs. I think nowadays the ideology is also a little different. As Tamre was mentioning, people do PG for the reason of going abroad. I don't think they are doing it for the reason of getting their knowledge and skill, because otherwise I won't see many people doing the PG in the same college. If they want to do it for skill, they want to do it for knowledge, and they want to go out, unless until the college is definitely extremely fantastic in the infrastructure, which I doubt in South Indian context. Of course, even the North Indian context. Some of the colleges, rarely all over India, have the extraordinary OPD and client sets. I've seen both the North Indian colleges and South Indian colleges. So it's not so great in their infrastructure wise, client load wise. But I think for them going abroad, PG definitely is required, and then do it. For nowadays, it's like mandatory. If you are 10 years experience, do PhD also. I see less people interestingly doing PG and at the same time, I give credit to the people who are sincerely doing their PGs and PhDs because they want to do and they want to learn and upgrade their skill. I do have people like that also, but that number is kind of getting less, which is worrying for me as a professional.
Yes. Sure.
Like when I looked at the data, one thing that occurred to me was probably is it like people want to narrow their specialization because BOT is very generic, holistic in across all areas. But when they get into the masters, they are choosing pediatrics or neurology, mental health, and so on. So probably I thought like they want to like narrow down their focus on practice area. That is one of the reasons. But apparently it looks like in the reality context, that may not be the main reason. But again, speaking of mental health, and also like hearing Dr. Anbu sir's name, I consider him as one of my mentors. So I worked, when I collaborated with him when I was back in India in those early years of my practice, I treated a good number of clients with mental health issues, and I always see that we can do a lot for mental health clients. And there should be a more focus on that. I'm glad that at least 6 people of our respondents still practice in mental health, but I think there should be a lot more advocacy in that region. That's warranted. And again, if you really look at some of the stats of mental health in India, it's staggering, right? Given that volume of mental health issues that we have in our population, I think OTs can do a lot more. Is my take always. Great. Yeah. So others, who haven't spoken yet, any thoughts? Again, I just navigated to the next slide with some more questions, so you can pick on any questions you want. But basically, again, we discussed about all these practice things, but I just want to already we have a good chunk of 35 years or old, which like very young OTs, very good sign. In general, and also there is more new colleges in the recent past, which means they are going to spew out more and more entry-level OTs. So how are we going to create more opportunities for them?
Karthik, if I may take this.
Sure.
I have intentionally decided to go away from the metro city. So if you remember, my first center is in Ananagar, which is heart of the city. And then I have moved on to suburb, which is Kolathur. And then my target is now to go only in the suburbs and reach outwards. Probably at one point of time, we always feel that, okay, now what I'm going to give back to my profession and the place where I come from. So my idea is to reach my hometown one day and set up a center. I'm in the plan. Probably in the middle, I have to start something and then go there. Of course, remuneration may not be as promising as what is in the city. It is going to be a little less, but at the same time, your expenses in that area is also going to be a little less. Only problem what we will have is finding the therapist who's there in that area who can do that work full time for us. That's going to be the only this thing. Affordability wise, now for the people. Even in the city, it's the same thing. 50% of the people are definitely affording and they can pay the fees. 50% have difficulties, even in Chennai. that's the same category which goes to village also, because we can't judge people in the village that they don't have money. They have more money than the people who are in city, I think. So
Okay.
this is the same problem both in city and place. Only difference is we as therapists have to have the motivation to spread our wings and go out. If you see Delhi or Mumbai or Chennai, even Bangalore, the heart of that city has n number. I think 5 years back, my calculation was we had 173 occupational therapists run clinics in Chennai. Now it should probably somewhere close to 400.
Wow.
Because every week or every couple of weeks, I see 2 people opening per center. So there are more number of centers, but nobody is going out and opening centers. Nothing happens on
It's
the
all
outside.
like in a heavily populated area that keep
Everybody
on
is
new
like,
centers.
yeah. When I started 17 years back in Chennai, probably in couple of kilometers distance, there was no other clinic. Now in my same street, I have 4 clinics.
Wow.
It's a good thing, and everybody is doing great. That's fantastic. And that also says one point where are we as health professionals getting paid like others? I would say, with my experience, I think we are getting paid more than others in that way. Not to put people down, but for a physiotherapist in our place, like if you give a 20,000, they will work for a month. But OT, if you tell 20,000, they'll be like, so for 2 hours a day, it's like that.
Got it.
Or one client, 20,000 rupees, probably yes. If that person is that skillful. So we are kind of moving out and going out in multiple areas. Affordability as such for the service, I don't think that's the difference between suburbans or urbans or even rural areas. It's the same problem everywhere. Some of them come to us with saying money as a problem. Some people come and say time as a problem, that they cannot come to therapy. Affordability, more than affordability, I think it's the willingness and interest in coming for the therapy nowadays.
Got it. Thank you for touching upon that, how OT salary compares to other field. Back in 2018 also, we found that, compared to entry-level nursing or, other entry-level, physical therapy jobs and all, our average was higher, and it continues to be do so, because even while doing this data analysis, I was looking at some other professions, and we were definitely, our average is better than them. And also, of course, our average may be slightly lesser than the physicians entry-level salary, but again, we are closing in on that gap as well. So definitely there's a good traction. But I'm just, one thing that we need to be mindful of is so far the demand for OT is high because of the availability of therapists as well. But now, as you said, with 400 clinics in a big major city, in each of these cities, like Bangalore, Maharashtra, Mumbai, and Chennai and all, the saturation, we are heading towards. Okay. Someone please mute yourself. So I think that's one of the reasons that we need to keep in mind. That's why we need to diversify, create more opportunities, so that we continue to maintain that demand for OT services in a way, in a positive way. And the last one is I really want to now that the gap between government and other sectors are closing in. I know that there was some point in the time in the recent several years ago, at least, I heard that there are a lot of government opportunities, but nobody is willing to accept them because of the low salary. But now it looks like situation is changing. Will this drive more government opportunities or more OTs accepting government opportunities? Is anyone working in a government setting here in India who wants to talk about it? Right.
Again, just a point. Yeah. I'm not working in government sector, but I'm closely associated with jobs and centers in government sector. Recently, there is this Autism Excellence Center in KK Nagar. I was approached to get people recruited and get occupational therapists appointed. I have approached people and posted a message that they have come up, they have increased the package. That's why it's the difference. From 30,000, they said from 35 to 40, I will pay per month.
Okay, per month. Okay.
But I would say for Tamil Nadu, in the government sector, 40,000, they have come up from 20,000 to 40,000 in a couple of years. That's a good push. But unless until we join there, they will not give it. They would probably appoint a special educator or a physiotherapist and go.
True.
And mind it, this is a warning sign, because in the NCAP, there is a physiotherapy in pediatrics happening. So at one point of time, that will become a threat to us also.
Yeah.
So our people, obviously, private sector pays more, so we are choosing it, and we are leaving out the government sector. Imagine government is recruiting physiotherapists, recruiting nurse, recruiting special educator. They are not recruiting OT, not because they don't want to recruit. They have tried many times. OTs are not joining. So they decided, if you don't want to join, why would I advertise for you? This is something which, when I spoke to the IAS officer who handles that, he says like, Murli, I'm calling for people. You people are not coming.
Yeah.
This is government. If you don't come, we expire the post and let it go. And we have a valid reason. Nobody joined, so why to call after 2-3 times? And it's a formality. We will close your post. And this happens because we are not joining. I'm not saying that salary is good, so you go and join and sacrifice yourself, nothing. But that salary is also a good salary. You join there and you get into a government post and you do it. It's not that everywhere everybody is paying. And yeah, since that, I also wanted to tell you, any OT clinic employing occupational therapists, are they paying that much of monthly salary, or people who are working in a physio clinic or a speech clinic or somewhere else as a pure OT, are they getting paid that much? Is that the salary difference? Is there any difference in that particular thing?
That particular range, yeah.
That we need to probably check, because there will be a difference.
True. But again, that's a good push that, we have pushed the government sector to increase our pay and recognize our skill set and talent. At the same time, we also need to embrace those opportunity to make our mark in the government sector. I think it's a long due, but I'm sure with more and more OTs coming out of the pipeline, that will head in the right direction. Because again, if you have only less people, and they obviously have a better opportunity in private sector, they will go. But if you have more people, then that'll be a point of time where the private sector is also filled with people. Now they need to find more opportunities, so that will push them to accept government positions as well. So yeah, let's go for. But overall, I think our profession is heading in a positive trajectory on multiple metrics, which is a very good sign. I'm so glad and happy to learn that through this effort. And we want to do this every few years. And again, with the NCAP and all, we are going to have a more strong, robust data in terms of how many OTs are in India. We always come up with the ballpark number 5,000, 7,000, whatever it is. But I think with once it's become mandatory for everyone, all practitioners to register, then we will have a clear number. And then that will inform whether what percentage at least we should have a sample size to generalize these data. So apparently we are still limited in those things, and we need to have more data on the profession. And again, I thank everyone who participated in that survey, and I use this opportunity, all of you, as well as talk to your colleagues and friends whenever we run these type of surveys. Ask them to respond. It's anonymous. We will never know who said what. But these aggregate data will have develop these type of insights and deliberate on these type of discussion. We had a great discussion. And before, again, we are well past the time. I just want to, before I close this conversation, I want to provide one more opportunity to anyone who wants to say, Charan Mahadevi, Dhruv Patel, if you have any thoughts, Navoji, Shilpa, Shivam, if you have any thoughts. Okay. All right, then. If you have any thoughts later on, feel free to put that in the comment section of our YouTube channel. Definitely this video will become available shortly on our YouTube channel as well. Please share the link with others who are unable to join with us today. Again, this is just a beginning of this conversation, right? This conversation never ends. We have a lot to discuss, but definitely, thanks to everyone who contributed and made this discussion very rich. And once again, I want to apologize of this turbulent start we had. There's a delay, and the link originally that was sent didn't work for some reason. So we had to pivot. But anyway, I'm glad that we are able to connect, and we had a good, like close to 15 people at a point in time. So look forward to the more detailed executive. This is like a snapshot of the findings, but like the report will have a little bit more context and information. So look forward to that report being published on our website very soon. Obviously, we will put it on our social media everywhere. The report is now available. So I want all of you to use this for advocacy purposes. If you're working, you want to make a case for your own salary, then I have this much of experience in this geographical region. This seems to be the average. You're paying me less than average. And sorry, like for people like Murali, to put you in a spot like where your people might come to you seeking more rice. Again, if they are talented enough, and definitely are going to honor that, I'm sure. But again, this has to work in both ways. The clinic owners and practitioners, entrepreneurs, please use this. And also use this for advocacy in the government sector. If this is the average salary, the government may also understand the demand for OT services, and then say, if this is the average, we need to somewhat, like continue to revise our salary to the scale that's average for this industry. Altogether, it's a good effort, and I'm glad that we did it. And once again, thank you so much for everyone who's joining and contributing your thoughts. Continue to, we are planning to conduct a webinar very soon in the near future, and also continue to join us for for future Saturday night chat and contribute to your discussion. I also want to extend the opportunity all of you to join IOTTT as a member. Now it's open to everyone. Go to our website to learn more. Please join and support us so that we can do more things for the field. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone, wherever you are. If you're in India, good night. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good day, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
day.
Bye.
Good day, everyone.
I'm going to end
Good
the
night.
meeting for all. Thank you.